I was down in my tent, not asleep, listening to all the sounds, and then I heard somebody down by the shelter. So at first I had to convince myself it wasn't what I thought I heard, but it definitely was somebody down there.
This right here is a YouTuber named Phil, who in December of 2021 uploaded a video titled Creepy Night in the Woods on his channel Hike Slam. His channel primarily focuses on outdoor exploration, and he regularly shares footage of his hiking and camping experiences throughout North America. In this particular video, Phil chose to go on a solo overnight hike along the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. He starts the video by venturing deep into the woods in search of a suitable camping location for the night. The first few minutes of his hike seemed to go smoothly, and everything appeared to be quite normal. However, about 30 minutes into the hike, he stumbles upon some peculiar trash along the trail. Oddly enough, some of the containers he discovers have writing on them that resembles song lyrics and poems. Nevertheless, Phil chooses to ignore the peculiar writing and carries on with his hike. As he explores further, he encounters another set of strange notes and writings as he approaches the campsite. This time, however, Phil notices a dead duck lying next to the notes, and this is when things start to take a very disturbing turn for Phil.
The weirdness continues. What the hell? And there's a dead duck here. A very long note. And it looks like it was just put here because it's not wet. That duck is fairly recently killed. Alright. Kinda creepy.
After discovering another set of disturbing writings and cryptic poems, Phil finds a dead duck lying next to them. At that moment, he notices a campsite just a few yards away from the notes and the dead duck. It's unclear whether the person who wrote the notes is also responsible for killing the duck. Nevertheless, Phil decides to keep his distance from the campsite and continues on his hike. As he makes his way up the trail, he encounters two women hiking down the trail.
Okay, well that was really weird. So as I was hiking toward the shelter, these two women were hiking in the opposite direction. They had a little dog with them. They asked if I had seen the guy who was leaving the notes. I said he has a campsite down by the river. They were shocked I was still considering camping out there, but they said that they were kind of freaked out and asked if I would go with them and walk past his campsite so they could get back to their car. So I did, and then when I got back to my truck, and I'm actually on the Appalachian Trail, just going the opposite direction. But I'm just going to find the closest camp spot to where I'm at because the sun is going down, and set up camp and yeah, settle in for the night.
Phil mentioned that the two women asked him if he had seen a man leaving disturbing notes and dead animals. When he told them he noticed a campsite just a few yards away from the notes, the women, afraid for their lives, asked him to walk back to their car with them. Phil agreed and walked back with them before heading in the opposite direction to find a safer place to camp for the night. Once Phil arrived at the shelter, he set up camp for the night and enjoyed his dinner, far away from the unsettling notes. Later that night, Phil went into the shelter to check out the camp log and read some of the notes and stories left by other hikers. That's when Phil discovered something extremely disturbing once again.
I'm gonna check out the shelter log here. Almost every shelter on the Appalachian Trail has a shelter log. It's kind of cool tradition here. So let's see what this one says. All right, let's see what's happened recently. Holy crap. Wait a second. This writing looks almost exactly like the writing that was on that garbage a couple of miles from here.
It's important to note that the shelter where Phil is currently located is more than 2 miles away and is situated entirely on the opposite side of the road from the notes and ducks he saw earlier. The handwriting in the camp log is identical to the handwriting he found in the previous notes and trash. The situation becomes increasingly disturbing as Phil starts to read through the logbook.
In 2018, while I was incarcerated at the Okaloosa County Jail, what the heck? In solitary confinement, I figured the following out. Refer to Isaiah 28:15. Here in early 2017, Trump, Nebo, allowed Obama to have the special use of the Air Force One for a trip to Palm Springs. This is the same ramblings from the guy that was on the other side of the river. That's kind of scary. Wow, this is weird. It's just like it goes in one direction, then immediately goes in a completely different direction. And there's just so much of it. Like this line up here. Think grave robbery in an attempt to obscure the reality of little Mrs. Wolf. In the past, the Russian collusion assertion have been followed up on many occasions with the advancement of illusions that would show discord in fiction between the colluding parties. You're falling faster. Obey your master. What the heck? Okay, that's crazy.
After reading the logbook, it's evident that a convicted felon has been wandering through the woods, leaving disturbing notes all over the place. The writing raises concerns about his mental stability, which is particularly alarming considering that Phil is alone in the middle of nowhere at night and doesn't seem to have anything to defend himself with. As Phil walked back to the shelter, he noticed a bottle hanging from a string on the ceiling. Attached to it was a note in the same handwriting as before. That read, "Watch out for Yeet Mouse. The dead do walk and talk." Disturbed by everything he was witnessing, Phil was overwhelmed with fear and anxiety. He ultimately decided to return to his tent and call it a night. However, as he tried to fall asleep, he heard footsteps approaching the shelter right next to his tent.
Okay, I'm out on the trail. It's the middle of the night. I was down in my tent listening to all the sounds, and then I heard somebody down by the shelter. So at first I had to convince myself it wasn't what I thought I heard, but it definitely was somebody down there. So I packed up all my stuff and I walked past. As I walked past, it did look like a single guy hanging out in the shelter. He had a headlamp on. All I could really see was the light from the headlamp, so I could have been wrong. So I don't know. I just got out of there.
After hearing footsteps outside his tent, Phil peeked out and noticed a man with a headlamp wandering around the shelter. Unsure if this was the same individual who had been leaving notes, he quickly gathered his things and headed back to his truck. Fortunately for Phil, he was not being followed or stalked and returned home safely. As of the time this video was uploaded, Phil has not gone back to the Appalachian Trail. The identity of the person who left the creepy notes and killed the duck remains unclear, and since Phil never found out the truth behind these disturbing experiences, this mystery might remain unsolved. In February of 2018, a YouTuber named Greg Harris uploaded a rather disturbing video titled, "Almost Got Decapitated by Wire Booby Trap" on an ATV trail on his channel Greg Harris Florida. Greg often shares videos of his daily activities in various locations across North America. In this particular video, he uploaded GoPro footage of himself riding his ATV on a trail somewhere in the United States. The video begins with Greg speeding along an off-road section on his ATV. However, as he ventures deeper into the woods, his ride is suddenly interrupted by something quite alarming. Upon closer inspection of the footage, it's evident that a metal wire had been set up between the two trees, which caught on Greg's helmet and forced him to stop. In the description of his video, Greg later noted how incredibly lucky he was that the wire broke, as it had become entangled beneath the chin of his helmet. Fortunately, thanks to his helmet and the reduced speed he had while making the turn, combined with the wire being aligned right at his helmet, he avoided a potentially life-threatening injury from the wire. It may seem shocking that anyone would consider setting up a lethal booby trap on an ATV trail, but unfortunately encounters of this nature are more common than one might think within the dirt bike community. Sometimes these traps are set up by property owners trying to keep bikers off their land, or by individuals who become infuriated with the loud noise and resort to violence against the riders. In circumstances like this, it is difficult to determine who might have placed the trap. This is a scenario where, had the wire been placed just a bit lower, or if Greg had been riding a little faster, the accident could have had much more serious consequences. Thankfully, Greg was able to walk away with only minor injuries. This right here is a YouTuber named Lisa, who in October of 2022 uploaded a video titled "Solo Female Camper Encounters 4 Creepy Sketchy Guys" on her channel Asleep 5 Decades. Her channel showcases her everyday life as she travels throughout North America while living in a camper van. She frequently uploads footage of her experiences at the different places where she spends the night, along with her journeys to those destinations in her camper van. In this particular video, Lisa had parked her van on the side of the road and left the door open while she cooked dinner inside, when a suspicious man approached her van, leaned in without her permission, and started asking her some pretty weird questions in French, a language Lisa didn't understand. When she mentioned that she couldn't understand him, he pulled out a translation app to try to communicate, which only made her more uncomfortable. After watching him struggle with the app for a few minutes, Lisa decided she had enough and shut the side door in his face. Strangely, the man stood outside in the rain for over 30 minutes, trying to use the translator app to engage with Lisa, even after she clearly signaled that she wanted nothing to do with him. Moments later, the man started to lurk behind the bushes beside her van, and this is when things started to take a very disturbing turn.
Okay, he just moved even closer so that I can't move out and so that I can't go forward. Please leave. Please leave, you sketchy person. Please leave.
After witnessing the man hide himself in the bushes, it's evident that he is up to no good. Lisa later mentioned that he essentially stalked her from a distance for almost 15 minutes, believing she couldn't notice him. However, Lisa was recording him the entire time and kept an eye on him to prevent him from trying to get close to her again. Despite this, the man continued to drive his car closer to her van and started blocking her exit for over 30 minutes.
This guy is really starting to freak me out. It's been like a half an hour and he just keeps on moving his vehicle so he can see in my van here. And it's 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. It's raining pretty hard and he is just such a creepy person, and I didn't trust him when he was trying to talk to me earlier, and he's just staring me down and I'm afraid to go up the front there.
Fortunately for Lisa, a family with an RV parked right behind her and stayed there for the whole night. Alarmingly, the man left as soon as the family arrived but returned about 3 hours later in the middle of the night to see if Lisa was still there. Upon noticing that the family was still in the parking lot, he left quickly and did not come back. The next morning, Lisa left early and never encountered the man again. Although it's hard to determine his true intentions, his behavior and suspicious actions suggest that he likely had very bad intentions. Despite the disturbing circumstances, it was lucky that the other family arrived when they did. Otherwise, who knows what could have happened to Lisa. This right here is a YouTuber named Sam who uploaded a terrifying video titled Stealth Van Camping Gone Wrong on his channel The Northwest Wind. For those who are unaware of the term stealth camping, it involves parking a camper van anywhere without paying for parking, from residential neighborhoods to the middle of nowhere. His channel mostly showcases his travels in his camper van, and he frequently uploads videos documenting his stealth camping experiences across the United States. In this particular video, Sam uploaded footage of his stealth camping trip to the woods in Cleveland. While leaving his camper van at a local dog park, he made his way into the woods. He stumbled upon a camping tent that had been completely destroyed, but he decided to keep going. After setting up his tent in the woods, he started cooking dinner on a camping stove. At this point, he saw a couple of people walking by the campsite and mentioned that he was feeling like he was possibly in danger. Despite this, Sam decided to stick it out for the night and kept on recording. As soon as he settled down in his tent to get some sleep, this is when things started to take a turn for the worse.
There's somebody, hang on. I don't know if they could see it or not through the tent. I don't think so. I'm leaning right up against the light, but somebody's walking around out there very close to the tent. Somebody's out there. I don't know if they're coming this way or just walking around out there. I can't tell. Somebody's definitely walking around out there, though. Hang on. I don't want to leave the light on in case they could see in here. Somebody's walking around out there. They're getting closer, too. They're getting closer. Hang on. Hang on.
As the footsteps outside the tent drew closer and closer, Sam wasn't sure if it was an animal or a person. With no other options remaining, he called out to whoever was out there. At first, he didn't get a response, but after calling out about the 6th time, that's when things took a turn for the worse.
I don't like this at all. I'm spooked.
Hello?
I can barely hear them talking. They're whispering. I think there's 2 people. Hang on. They're walking around outside in circles.
Hello? Hello? Alright, I don't like this. Hello? Hello? They're touching my tent. Stop.
They're right outside the tent.
Hello? I'm in here. Hello? Hello? Alright, I'm getting the f*** out of here. Hello? Hello? I don't know what the f*** this is, but we're getting out of here. Hang on. Okay, they're walking away now. What do you want? I have a knife. Where's my knife? Holy crap, get away. What do you want? Hello, I can't see you. All right, I'm getting out of here. We're getting the hell out of here. Hello? Say something, I see you.
After Sam mentioned that he had a knife on him, the attackers left the campsite. However, as soon as he stepped out of the tent, Sam saw them standing creepily in the middle of the woods.
I don't know which way they went. I think they went this way. I see you. Get away! All right, I'm spooked. I don't like this. Get my headlamp on and we're getting out of here right now. They're just standing there. They're just standing there. What do you want? Leave me alone! They went over that way. I can't see them now. I know you're there. I see you. They collapsed my tent on me and pulled the fly off while I was still in there.
After completely losing it during the unsettling encounter, he decides to leave his tent and return to his van in the park. Unfortunately, this was not the end, as things start to get even more disturbing.
Phone. I'm gonna call 911 if you come near me. All right, they're moving again. I don't know, I'm getting out of here. We're going. I'll come back for this some other time. All right, let's get the hell out of here. I'm leaving, don't follow me. All right, this is stay away from me! They're coming behind me. I don't know what they're doing. They're at my campsite. I see them. I see you reflecting off my tent. Leave my shit alone!
Fearing for his life, Sam decides to leave his belongings behind as the attackers steal his things. He quickly tries to run back to his van, but when he turns around, he sees the attackers coming after him.
One of them's following me. One of them's... I just ate. I'm toast. Okay, oh, they're coming. Leave me alone! I hear them coming. I can't see the shadow. Here's a path. Okay, get me there. I'm recording all of this. Get away from me! Hang on, is this still recording? Is it still recording? Is it still recording? Right at the edge of the wood line. It's about 150 yards away. Hang on. You see that? I see you! I can see you! Oh, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger. All right, let's get the out of here. I don't know if they're like after me or something, or what the happening. We're getting the here. It's getting bigger. They're coming this way. Holy I don't like this. I'm calling the police! Okay. This is okay. All right, we're getting out of here.
After running for his life, Sam finally made it back to his van safely. He immediately drove home and gave his viewers a detailed update on everything that happened. It remains a mystery who the two guys who chased and attacked him were, and what their motives were. However, when Sam went back to his tent the next morning, he found out that the attackers didn't end up stealing his stuff. It's clear that robbing the campsite wasn't their main motive. We can't really tell what would have happened to Sam if he hadn't decided to abandon his campsite and run to his van.
24 hours, I think, to... What are you looking at? You keep freaking me out, dog. There's no one over there. Are you seeing something I'm not?